ado, let me go ahead and introduce our guest. Those of you that are new to this kind of room, normally this is what we call a master class, and that's simply I get a chance as the host to interview our guest, which we're going to do here, and we get to learn a little bit more about them. Now, our guest tonight is a pro on circles. She's been on circles for quite some time. Her and I were just talking about that. She leads multiple groups, but she's focusing on a new group that is going to be launching about divorce and actually moving past divorce and getting into a new life, a new chapter, and a new story. So she's going to be talking about that tonight. So without further ado, I just got to check one more time. Anybody drop their favorite candy bar? Nobody's going to play my candy bar question, so that's okay. No worries. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest is a mental health professional with a bachelor's degree in social work and a master's degree in social work. She has over 10 years of experience in the mental health field, facilitating groups and supporting and empowering individuals to live their best lives. So friends in the house, could you help us welcome by showing some love with your love heart button, our guest tonight, which is Rhashida. Rhashida, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I do want to say, I think that the app is glitching because there are people who have put the candy bar question. Some people have said different things. So I don't want our members to think that we're ignoring them. So we did have Almond Joy and we had Cadbury Caramello. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. So we did have some answers in the chat. And I think that the app is glitching. It took me so long to unmute, like I had to hop off and then hop back on. So I'm still here. If this happens to freeze, it's just that something is going on with the app. But I am glad to be here. Thank you for the warm welcome, everybody. Glad to be here. Like Jeff said, currently we have a new masterclass that I'll be running called Divorce to Destiny. I've been with Circles for a very long time, since 2021 of July 2021. So I've run a plethora of groups on this this platform. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that you all are allowing me to hold space for you and with you in your journey of healing. And I'm just excited to see what this new masterclass brings.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you for giving me the insight to the chat. You know, I've had, this is my third masterclass interview today on the app, and I have had trouble with the chat for each one. So I appreciate you being my eyes, Rhashida. Thank you very much.
Of
And
course.
those of you that are just joining us, you're joining us for a live masterclass session. My name is Jeff, and our guest today is Rhashida Brown. Rhashida is one of our facilitators, premium facilitators here at Circles. We're talking about divorce. And Rhashida, I know you've done a lot of work in divorce, and we're also very aware that there's lots of rooms on the Circles app that talk about divorce. Before we kind of get into it, I wonder if you could unpack your kind of journey, your personal story that led you into this work that you're passionate about now on divorce. Can you help us understand your story a little bit?
Of course, of course, of course. My background in general is in social work and mental health. I have a bachelor's degree in social work from Coppin State University, and I have a master's degree in social work from the University of Southern California. I've been in this field for over 10 years, running group therapy, facilitating groups, working with child protective services, working at intensive outpatient treatment facilities. So I have worked with several different populations. My passion in general is mental health. So it doesn't matter what population it is. When we're talking about people's livelihoods and mental health, that is my passion. As far as initially, I got into this field due to my mother passed away as a child. And I was exposed to the foster care system very early on. And I always felt that I wanted to be the voice for the voiceless, especially children, the most vulnerable population. And I'm like, you know what? I have to do something I wanted to basically be the person that I wanted as a child, the person that I wanted to kind of come save me. And I got into the field and I started getting my feet wet with different populations, because with social work, you can do so much. And just like I said, you can do so much with social work. The common denominator is helping people. I'm passionate about helping people, so it doesn't matter where it's at and which way, but mental health is my passion. So like I said, I joined circles back in 2021. As far as separation and divorce, I myself personally have never experienced a divorce, but I've experienced, going through breakups, right? And the grief of that can be crippling. And knowing, having someone to talk to who is going through similar things, I think it's so therapeutic. It's healing, and having a professional facilitator to guide you through that, being able to give you helping healthy coping skills for you to utilize, being able to kind of rally around you and give you that support that you need in a circle, being able to just hold space and sit with you. Sometimes people just want to vent, right? And the way I run my circles is I usually ask people before I offer feedback or before I open the floor for their peers to give them feedback, because sometimes people don't want feedback. They just want a safe space to share and process what it is that they're going through, and have people rally around and kind of just listen to them. Or I say, hey, do you want feedback, or do you want just to simply process? And both, I think both are therapeutic depending on what stage in your journey you're at. Everybody's, of course, we know everybody's at in different spaces in their journey, but regardless of where you're at, community is so important. Being able to have a sense of community. We're not meant to do this alone. We're not meant to isolate ourselves during any like significant transition in our lives. And I know it's so easy to do that, because the feeling of grief can be crippling. It can paralyze you. It can allow you to stay stagnant. Um, but that's where I come in, right? I bring humor to my rooms. I bring compassion. I'm very witty. I always try to offer people alternative ways of thinking. And I literally just hold space for people to make them feel comfortable. So that's just a little bit about me. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But that's it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It seems like when we're going through those painful times, we wish them away, right? But then when we go through them and look back, we almost thank God for them. That's an
Mm-hmm.
oddity, isn't it, Rhashida, in living life? Because it's when we really look back, we can see that those painful times, those grieving times, really helped shape our lives. Yes.
Of course, of course. It's
Yeah.
when you're in the thick of it, you can't see that, right? And I think that's why it's so important for the work that we do, and being able to hold space for people in circles, because you're able to receive this insight and feedback from other people on the way they may, navigate these certain circumstances that they're going through. And it shifts your perspective of a lot of things, because when you are alone with your own thoughts, sometimes it sends you down those rabbit holes and you get consumed with, scenarios that you make up in your mind, and you start to believe it as if it's factual. And having people to kind of just anchor you in those moments, like, bringing you back down and grounding you and telling you, like, being a mirror for you. Because a lot of times in the groups, like I said, there's people at different stages in their journey. So some people may be further along in their journey in the divorce process. So they can be a mirror to other people to let them know, like, it does get better. There is a rainbow at the end of this, even though it may not look like that while you're in the thick of it. So I've had people in different levels and stages in their journey, and people who were newly separated and divorced, and then people who were now dating, and they're able to mirror, like, for other people, like, this, you can come out of it, you can grow through this. There are, even if you don't want to date, but I mean, there are other things that you can get out of this, and kind of reframe your perspective and see, opportunities that you were able to possibly obtain outside of the divorce, instead of just like focusing solely on the negative. Like, you're able to reframe your thoughts and your mind and see, like, oh, there is beauty in a struggle, even though it may not feel like it in the thick of it. And trying to practice radical acceptance and trying to navigate, this difficult time, having other people around you offer you those type of perspectives will help you in your journey.
Yeah. So well said. Kind of friends, those of you that are listening in with us, if you feel comfortable in putting in the chat, I just wondered how many are right in the midst of going through a separation or divorce. If that speaks to you, just drop like a number 1 in the chat. I can't see it, but Rhashida can. And maybe that just gives an opportunity of self-expression too. It's very important for us to be able to do that, isn't it, Rhashida? There's all kinds of different types of expression.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I the work that I've done with my own groups, it was
Excuse
one
me.
of the hardest thing that I ever had to do was to realize that, Jeff, this is not happening to you. This is happening for you, right? And one of the most difficult times is to experience pain and know that it's for my good. Um, what have you found in your work, maybe around common causes of separation or divorce? Well, what have you found in the work that you do, Rhashida? What are some of those common causes that would um, cause somebody to get separated or divorced? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Many, and it varies. There's so many different things that cause people to get separated and divorced. Sometimes people are blindsided. I've heard many members in the group. One person would say, like, I didn't even think anything was wrong. Like, I loved my partner. I thought
Mhm.
we were good, but on the other end, the partner clearly wasn't as invested as the member in the group. Financial issues can cause someone to get divorced. Not being equally yoked, not being on the same page. Some children, sometimes people come in with blended families, and they're not as invested into the partner's children. um Mental health issues, substance abuse, gambling, different addictions, adultery, um, you know, people not respecting others' boundaries can cause for a divorce. There's so much when it comes to separation and divorce. Um, it's so much. Like,
Yeah.
I can go on and on, but there's literally so much. Somebody says, so this is a Rhashida class. This will be right now, Paul. So so this is a Rhashida class. So this will be a divorce master class called Divorce to Destiny. Right now, this is the actual intro to the class. It'll be an 8-week course, and I will be I'll be facilitating for the 8 weeks. Tonight, Jeff he's the host of the masterclass. So he's asking a few questions just to kind of get to know me. So people who want to join the class can kind of have an idea of how I run my audio sessions and what they can expect and look forward to.
Yeah, indeed. Great question. And I apologize, everybody who's with us tonight, that I am having technical difficulties on my side, so I cannot see the engagement in the chat. But I do appreciate you, Rhashida. And I think every conversation that we can have around relationships is very important. When you were talking about the different reasons for breakups or separations, it made me think that most of the reasons for our personal development issues. Yes, it's a human being going through a growth period, pattern, etc. And whatever they're going through is bleeding over, so to speak, into the relationship, right?
Yeah,
And when we meet somebody, we don't have a package of things that say, you can't give each other a list and go, okay, 10 years from now, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to have this experience. You're not going to like me. I'm going to lose my mind on you. Nobody knows that going into a relationship, right? So we go into this relationship thinking that, oh my God, this is my soulmate. This is the best person I've ever. And then all of a sudden life happens. And that soulmate becomes somebody different than maybe what you connected with.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I just had a person, a member of one of my grief groups discussed, they're currently going through a hard time. They lost a parent,
Mhm.
and their partner is like, I want you, to be who you were before the parent passed away. Like, I want the old you. And grief, again, grief will change you. So it's hard for you to be who you were before you lost a significant person that meant so much to you in your life, because you're now a new person. The grief has literally changed you. And the same with divorce. Divorce can change you, but you have to take control over that, because you don't want to let it consume you. And I always tell members, like, the divorce and separation is not the end all be all. There's still so much life left to be lived. And the reason why circles is so important, because it allows other members to show you that life can still happen. Like you said earlier, Jeff, life, what did you say? You said life is not happening to us, it's for us. Was that
Yes,
the quote?
yeah. Life
Yes.
is not happening to me, it's happening for me.
Yes. And I believe that. I heavily believe that.
Yeah. Friends, I wonder if you could do me a favor. This thought just came to me when you were talking, Rashida. Friends, I wonder if you were to look at your current situation, maybe if you're reflecting back on a separation or divorce, or you're going through it immediately, what do you find to be your biggest struggle? Is it emotional? Is it mental? Just a thought. Would you just drop emotional or mental in the chat for us? I'd love to get your thoughts on that. And while you're doing that, Rashida, talking about people changing. Now, I've been with my wife. We've been together for 32 years, been married for 28. Um, and it hasn't always been roses and peaches and all of that. We want it to be. And I think I would just kind of want to maybe be a little transparent here if I could. I
Jeff,
remember that.
Jeff,
Yeah,
really quick. I'm not trying to cut you off,
yeah.
but Nicole put in the chat, she's not sure what the difference is between emotional and mental.
Oh, very, very good. Thank you, Nicole, for that. You want to take it, Rashida? Go ahead, or you want me to? It's up to you.
You can go since you asked the question.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. So Nicole, it's it's a very fine line between our thought process and our feeling process, and there's different theories on it. I'm of a firm believer that the thought is that thought that we get in our mind invokes an emotional reaction. So some people, when they go through separation and divorce, they feel the brunt of the pain in their emotions. They're sad, they're stressed, they're depressed, they're angry. So if you would ask someone to describe what they're going through while they're going through a separation or divorce, they might say, I'm mad, I'm angry, I can't control my emotions. So that would be an emotional reaction. Other people struggle with the thought process. I counseled a lady for almost 9 months, and she could not get over the fact that her husband had cheated on her and she did not know it. He had taken money out of their bank account and she did not know it. And so she kept replaying this image of him doing this to her. It was a mental thing. And she kept getting these thoughts bombarded with, I cannot, every time we talked, she would say, Jeff, I cannot believe he did this to me. So she was playing a story in her head, more thinking rather than feeling. Now, they're both so connected together closely that they trigger each other. Um, but I hope that helps a little bit, Nicole, give you an idea. And maybe you can't distinguish either or, and that's okay. Maybe it's both for you. Let's leave that as an option: mental, emotional, or both. Does that help at all, Nicole?
Yeah, she said both for her.
Both. Thank you for that. And thank you for being courageous enough to ask the question. I love it.
Yes, I'm sure other people thought the same as well. I see Beth just entered the room. Hey, Beth. Happy Wednesday.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I think we were talking a little bit about change that happens, Rhashida, right? So I know in my relationship currently, I remember my mama told me, God rest her soul, that when she first saw my wife Jody and I together, she said, Jeff, there was this. So my mom was very spiritual. She said there was this glory cloud, as she called it, all around you. We were picking my mom and dad up from the airport, and we were coming down the escalator, and she said, Jeff, this is just this glory cloud around you, and sometimes. And I want you to talk a little bit about this if you can, Rhashida. Sometimes that initial, oh my God, you're my soulmate, there's this glory cloud, you're meant to be together. Can that put a lot of pressure on staying in a relationship long after maybe that's come to an end?
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course. I think many times in general, I've had many members who have spoken about staying with their partners because of the time that they've spent with them already. They don't want to start over, they have children with the person. They feel like they've invested so much time. There was a lot of, even if there was like a lot of love bombing initially, they're like, no, I thought this was my soulmate, but they've changed over the years and now I'm just too old to start over. The dating pool sucks. Like, there's so much that goes into it. I had a member in my group the other night who was 74 years old, and I commended him because I was like, you know what? So many people say, I'm just going to stay with this person because I'm too old. And at
Yes.
70 plus years old, he's like, no, I want to prioritize my mental health. I know I deserve more. I'm worth more. It's never too late to start a new chapter at 70 years old. And I'm like, I love that for you, because people will stay places that they know the time is up. The time has expired. You were good for a season in my life, a period in my life, but now I'm 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 past that. And sometimes it's hard for people to just walk away. Sometimes it's hard for people to say, you know what, this is no longer serving me, because of everything, they're now grieving the what may be lost of, the life that they created with the person, the house, the children, and then just the simple divorce, not the simple divorce process, but the divorce process. It intimidates people. It scares people away. People don't want, they're like, no, that's too much to go through.
Yeah, yeah, that's so profound. My wife and I have always had these conversations about, is love forever or is love just for now? And that's a very difficult. I think also, I don't know what your thoughts are, Rhashida, and team that's joining us tonight. I think sometimes the way we grew up, our moral convictions, our faith precedents, right, can play a factor in that too, right? Because it's kind of like until death do us part. These are like sacred vows, and that's a very difficult thing. I've always said that we can't confront, or we can't conquer what we won't confront, and we won't confront what we hold sacred, right? So these vows are like sacred, Rhashida, and in order for me to confront this vow, I have to confront my sacred of what I believe is truth to be. So it's not just, am I deciding to leave this person, but am I deciding to break this almost holy reverential vow? Now
Mm-hmm.
that's even stronger to try to separate ourselves from, isn't it?
Yeah, especially people who are religious and spiritual, right? Like those, they're convicted in that because they took a vow before God or whoever their higher power, whoever it is that they believe in. So now there is also a lot of shame attached to that, with especially when you are in the church. Sometimes people can frown upon, divorce, and they're like, stay together, work it out through sickness and in health. And those many times that can also cripple you, because you are more worried about what others may say. Like, you don't want people to feel like you're a quitter. You don't want people, I've heard people in many of my groups say, this is my second failed marriage, and they would say failed, and I would encourage them to switch the verbiage, because when you do say failed, you internalize that as if it was something that you did. And that also creates a lot of shame and an extra layer of pressure. And you're already going through so much while you're grieving, this new significant transition in your life. So trying to minimize, the negative self-talk, and take away the shame and the stigma from the divorce, and say, well, it's not a second failed marriage. It's a second opportunity to learn what it is that you like, what it is that you want moving forward, what it is that you're worthy of, that you deserve. Because when we say these words and we don't even realize it, when we attach these words to ourselves or our situations, it has so much power, and it can literally leave you with that shame and that guilt, and then the guilt turns into resentment. Like, there's so much that goes into it. So I do think that, like what you said, Jeff, it is definitely true. A lot of times we may not want to confront, especially when you're going through the separation and divorce, certain things, because it now is attached to your spiritual beliefs or your religious beliefs, and you don't want to disobey or go against up against your higher power or whoever it is that you believe in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a loaded statement. I totally agree. I remember meeting a man. You had said this gentleman that come on was 70. I applaud that. I appreciate you sharing that, Rhashida. I remember talking to a man. He had been married. He had been married for 70 years, 70. And I was working in a hospice then, visiting him and his family. His wife was unfortunately transitioning. But I asked him a little bit about his marriage and a little bit about his life. And I asked him how he stayed married 70 years or what his secret was. And you know what he told me? He said, Jeff, I stayed. And I said, what do you mean you stayed? I said, were you happy? And he said, I never gave myself permission to consider being happy. It was an obligation and a commitment that I made, and I chose to stay. And I thought, wow, that in itself is a little bit of that ideology that holds us captive, right, Rhashida, in these decisions that we make. So he could never resolve the own inner conflict. He told me there's plenty of times I wish I would have gone, plenty of times I wish I would have gone, but he never made that choice because he couldn't. That's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many people who are tied to marriages just because, and not being able to give yourself the opportunity and the space to move forward and see what else is out there based on, religion or whatever, even when people are not being treated appropriately. And it's 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 sad. It's sad because, you deserve so much more. You're worthy of that. But sometimes, some relationships also take a toll on your confidence and your self-esteem. So it makes it hard for people to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so profound because this is conversation that I don't think many couples have. And looking back over my own marriage of again 28 plus years, being with the same person for 30 plus years of our lives. Number one, we never gave ourselves permission to change and to grow, Rashida. Then number two, life that as we planned it when we were in our 20s, by the time we were 35s and 40s, life was not working out like we expected. So now we have we have a disappointment and an expectation that wasn't met, and that disappointment can turn inward. And then what we found also is that with our own lack of self-satisfaction in our own careers or personal development or etc., then that can also attack the relationship. Yes, it can also, now we're not happy individually. This is something my wife and I've always said. She said, Jeff, if you were happy with you, would you be happy with me? And I thought, you know what? That's a beautiful question, because a part of me is not sure. I mean, yeah, if I was okay with me and loved me and I'm fulfilled and enriched and I got all of this, would I think differently of you? I don't know. Any thoughts on that, Rashida, about how each other feels about themselves and how that weighs on
Yeah.
how they feel about each other in the relationship?
Yeah, I always encourage members when they join, my groups and even outside of the groups, like to learn who you are, learn what you like. A lot of times people, especially when you're in marriages for so long or relationships or what have you, just for so long, you pick up things that your partner likes, right? You do it just because this person is doing it. Their hobbies become your hobbies, their friends become your friends. And your sense of self and your own identity sometimes can get lost within that. So being able to still have the things that you like to do, being intentional about filling your cup by yourself, doing things that bring you joy, and not just because it brings your partner joy. But a lot of times we wear so many titles and different hats. We're parents, we're partners, we're career people. And each of those, those each of those duties require different versions of ourselves, right? So getting back to who it is, you as an individual, not you as the wife, not you as the mom, not you as the caretaker, the caregiver, the friend, the aunt, the brother, whatever it is, but you. Because many people come into relationships just to simply be fulfilled, like they're looking for, someone else to give them something, like they're searching for something to fill that void. And I always say, you come to the person, you do the work for yourself. You have to do the work on yourself, because nobody, essentially, you'll never feel fulfilled if you're always looking for someone else to give you that sense of joy. You have to do the work for yourself, and whether you're in a relationship or out of a relationship. So when you do get in a relationship and you're looking for that healthy relationship, anyone who now comes to you is a bonus. That's a privilege. Like it's a
Yeah.
added a added bonus, because when they take themselves away from you, like you're not losing anything. Of course, it's a partner that you're losing, but you won't feel like you've sacrificed yourself. You won't feel like, this is, again, it'll be a tough situation, but you'll be able to kind of regroup and reground yourself, because you found that sense of joy and you were able to identify yourself as an individual and not just as a partner and a spouse.
Yeah. Don't we lose our own identity a lot, Rashida, right? We lose it in our jobs. We lose it in our role as a gender, our role as a spouse, a partner, a wife or a husband, a father, a mother. I
Yes.
don't know.
Really quick, Jeff, I just want
Yeah.
to, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to welcome the people who just joined. Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for joining. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Nat. Hey, Michael. Hey, Katie. Hi, Ivy. We're just doing an introduction to the masterclass that I'll be running. Jeff is currently hosting me. He's just kind of asking a few questions to get to know me a little bit better. And we're just talking about divorce to destiny. So I'm just trying to catch you up to what we're doing. But Jeff, you have the floor again. My apologies.
Oh, no, not apology at all. In fact, it looks like we got a question in the house. Let's go ahead. If you don't mind, go ahead.
Nat, you have the floor.
Hi, Rhashida. So I'm kind of new to circles and I've seen like the master class. Can you tell me more about how that works? Is it like a series of classes?
Yes. Well, welcome, Nat. Welcome. So glad to have you. So I'll be hosting a series starting next week. And with the Divorce to Destiny, it'll be an 8-week series, and we'll be covering different things each week. It's not, it's similar to the audio rooms, but not exactly, because now these are actually coming with topics that we'll be going over. And it's with, anyone can join, of course. So if you're going through a divorce or separation, but you'll be obtaining like coping skills, healthy coping skills and tools as you navigate your divorce process. But that's basically what it looks like. It'll be an 8-week series. You'll join just like you join the regular audio sessions. It'll be taking place at the same time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we'll have fun in a class. Well, not fun, but you'll be ready to fellowship with other members who are going through similar things. You'll be able to obtain feedback and insight from me and coping skills. Does that answer your question, Nat? And then some of the group members said yesterday they have attended a video session. Okay, so for the video set, the videos are grandfathered. So when Circles first started, we initially started out with video. The whole platform was videos. There were no audio sessions, but that's basically like a grandfathered plan. Like, when you have a phone bill and they're old plans that you used to be on, and now they no longer offer those plans. So we're phasing out of our video calls. So only the people Circles from like 3 years ago, those are the people who still have the video rooms. But again, we're phasing out of those. We're focusing solely on audio rooms. So whoever was speaking about the videos, they probably have been with us for like longer than 3 years. Those are older rooms, but we're not bringing those back. We're just focusing solely on the audio rooms at this point.
Yeah, great distinction, and great. The audio rooms, what we found too, friends, is that anonymity is really important to our users on the app, and they want to have a safe space. And so you're going to find in rooms with different guides and different facilitators. Some rooms are very chatty, they engage in lots of conversation. Some rooms are more quiet, there's more listening going on. And again, what Rhashida was explaining is I myself actually host what is on the app as the Circles Masterclass, and I bring guests like Rhashida, facilitators like Rhashida on, and do an interview with them a little bit so that the room can get an idea of their spirit, catch their heart for the topic, and then kind of let everybody know when and where to find them on an ongoing basis. I'm really excited about Divorce to Destiny. Even the title, Rhashida, right? Divorce seems this place of maybe hurt and pain and barrenness, to destiny. Destiny is this place that I was ultimately created to be. Yes?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said before, I believe in the power of the tongue, right? And there's so much power in the words that we speak over our lives and the words that we attach to ourselves. So divorce already has so much, stigma and shame attached to it. Why not attach something positive along with that to destiny, and you're able to create your destiny. I always tell members in my groups, like, you are the driver of your ship. You are the driver of this boat. You are able to navigate it however you feel fit, however you see fit. And of course, we don't always have control over the things that are thrown into our pathways, into our lives, but you can definitely make a U-turn on that ship in that boat. And if you see that there's too many waves and things don't look good for you, you can maneuver it the way that you want to maneuver it and navigate the challenges in your life the way you want to, navigate it. And don't allow that to dictate, these experiences that you're currently going through, to dictate the rest of your life, because it's not the end all be all. Divorce is not the end. This is looking at it as a new chapter, and these groups and these rooms will help you and allow you to obtain some coping skills and some tools that you'll be able to utilize in this new chapter that you're about to embark on.
Yeah, I love that. I wrote in my note when you were talking, friends, I don't know if you can wrap your head around this. It's hard for me sometimes to wrap my head around this too, but The note that I made was, if I didn't consider anything or anybody else but myself, what decision would I make? And that's hard, isn't it, Rhashida? Because even myself, when I asked that and said it out loud, what decision would I make? In that little bit of silence, my mind went to, well, what would people think of me? And what about my kids? And my mind is flooded with all of these pictures and thoughts that, back to our, whether it's thinking or emotion, it invokes this emotion. And anybody else in the house ever experience shame, but it's only in your own brain? That has never happened. You haven't actually gone through the decision yet, but your mind has this freaking ridiculous ability to make you out to be guilty or condemn you before you even make that action, right, Rhashida? So I know the class that you're going to lead, your expertise is when you talk about coping skills. That's what I'm excited about. Our friends are going to be able to learn in your class, is these coping skills to help us with this stinking thinking, as I call it, right? We need some help with our
Definitely.
stinking thinking, coach. Come on.
Yes, I
Yeah.
always tell, the stinking thinking. I I like that. But yes, because there's a lot of negative self-talk and self-sabotage and different things that take place to you when you're going through the separation and the divorce process. Many of our members, their self-esteem is shot, right? Because the toll that divorce and separation has taken on them, or some of the things that their partners may have said, and they, or not just have said but have done, and now they're internalizing some of their behaviors, their soon to be ex-partners behavior. So definitely there will be some coping skills that you all will be learning. One, how to implement healthy boundaries. We always talk about that a lot, because it's important how to practice positive self-talk instead of negative self-talk, with the stinking thinking that Jeff just said. Being able to practice radical acceptance, being able to engage in cognitive restructuring, reframing our thought process when that negative thought kind of comes in our mind, how we're going to switch it with that positive thought, because it's so easy for us to be our toughest critics, and we can psych ourselves out and create all of these scenarios in our head about the negative things. How about we create scenarios in our heads about the positive things? But what if it does work out? But what if this isn't the end? But what if I do find love? Like, but what if the dating pool doesn't suck?
Yeah.
But what if there's someone that's going to love me with all my baggage? Like, all of that. Instead of saying, no, someone won't love me with all the baggage. The dating pool sucks. I will never find someone. I'm too old. All of that we do on a daily basis, and we put all that pressure. We're putting the extra pressure on ourselves during this separation and divorce process. It's hard already, right? So we have to minimize some of that extra stress. And a lot of the extra stress and pressure comes from what we're thinking, not even what we're saying out loud, but what we're thinking, the stinking thinking. So
Yeah.
yes, Jeff, you're spot on with that one.
Yeah. I love it. Friends, if you have some comments or thoughts or questions, we've got a few minutes left. I would love to be able to take some. And I just want to encourage someone. Rhashida, I have a new partner that I just brought on. He actually focuses on men that are going through very, very, very difficult life challenges. And one of the breakthroughs that he experienced just on one of his first classes was a man who joined his group. This man had not spoken at all publicly about what he was going through. And for the first time ever on the app with my friend who's leading the group, the man opened up and started to share. And the guy just began to cry even on the app, and said it felt so good to be able to open up and share, right? So again, I share that to say, in not only just this class, but in the classes that you're going to come to, that Rashida's going to lead, I really encourage you to be open, and even press your envelope just a little bit. Press your comfort zone just a little bit, because once that stuff that's down deep inside starts to come out of your mouth, um, and you're in a safe space that nobody's going to judge you or ridicule you for saying what you feel, you can find some enormous healing, right, Rhashida? There's something about confession is good for the soul, I think is what they say, right? So
Definitely. I always,
yeah,
your testimony could also be someone else's breakthrough. By you sharing, and many times people start to share once they hear other people share. In my groups, people share very open and honestly because they feel comfortable. I create a safe space. It's very laid back, a judgment free zone, so you never have to feel pressured. I always, I will challenge you. I'll call you and say, hey, I haven't heard from you tonight, and if you don't want to speak, that's totally okay. You can pass. But I definitely make sure, I love to make sure that everyone feels seen and heard. But I do think a part of being transparent and being vulnerable, it helps create connection. It helps create, this experience for circles. There's a reason why you joined, right? You wanted people to be able to rally around you and give you some type of support. And I do think what you put in it is what you get out. So being able to share and being honest and open and honest about what it is you're feeling at this moment, right? Because we want to be able to give you support, and we can't do that if we don't know what it is that you're actually going through. So coming in on the rooms, and there'll be some nights that you may just not want to speak or you're not in the mood, and that's okay too. I'll meet you where you are. I won't push it, but I do challenge you to come in these rooms and give it your all. You're not only showing up for yourself, but you're showing up for your peers as well, and they're showing up for you too.
yeah. So well said. With that in mind, friends, I wonder if you're comfortable, if the question that's rolling around in my heart, Rhashida, is I wonder what's the most difficult part or the difficult challenge that our friends listening in tonight faces the most. So what is the most difficult thing that you're struggling with right now, friend? Maybe somebody wants to open up and share. Yeah, Beth, I see your hand. Go ahead, Beth Ann.
I would say is healing my emotions from
Yeah.
how somebody can be so cruel. I can't get my mind around someone that cruel, and just, having to live in the aftermath of everything he created, and, like I wasn't a part of, because he did things behind the scenes that, you know what I mean, were just unbelievable. And it's hard to get your mind around when you met someone when you're 17 years old and they don't care whether you're dead or alive. And, they just were more or less, from what I received from him, was he kind of wished I died so that way he could say that he was right. She's crazy. So that's the kind of filing down the mind that I had to deal with. And I'm really, really proud of myself where I am today, but it's hard. It's hard because he took everything, and it's just hard.
Mhm. Coach, comments?
I want to read a comment that someone, I think Nat wrote. I feel your pain. I tried reaching out to my ex a week after he left, and I told and and I asked him to stop being so cruel, and his response was to block me. That was really tough. So you're not alone, Beth. Other people are experiencing the same thing as well.
Yeah. And do you find this, Rashida, that and Beth, your courage to share is phenomenal. And that still gives me this indication that I have, you spoke on it earlier, Rashida, I have my self-worth wrapped up in this relationship. And now for the life of me, even though it's painful and hurting, I still almost bring this on myself by remembering or ruminating over what they did. I think it's humanity. It's a hard thing for us to just go, oh well, let's move on. oh, well, next.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a hard thing for us humans to do, especially when we have so much invested, right?
Yeah.
Right, Rhashida?
Beth this has been a person that she's been with from the age of 17. So, you know, that's not easy. And I always try to let members know, research even shows that if you were with a person for a significant amount of time or for 17 years, they say that it takes half the amount of time that you were with them to literally grieve them. And of course, I don't want that to be any of your reality, but that's just to put certain things into perspective when people are like, why am I still feeling this way? I don't want to feel this way. It's been a year and I'm still, feeling this way over this person. But if you were with this person for such a significant amount of time, it also does take time to grow through that journey and grow through that grief and grow through everything that it is that you're feeling right now.
Yeah. So well said. I think we had another couple of hands. We've got just a couple of minutes. Rhashida, you want to go ahead and
Yeah, I
call on
see.
somebody else?
I don't see anybody else's hand but Beth. I see Beth's hand again. I don't see anyone else's hand. So
Okay.
I guess Beth, you have the floor again.
Okay, I just want to say the hardest part for me is not only healing mentally from it, because yeah, it kills your self-esteem in ways, but the fact that I'm 55, I'm going to be 56. I told my oldest daughter after this year, I'm not counting. I have dementia after that, LOL. But because I'm in the caregiver field and I really love doing that. It's so nurturing and I get referrals all the time. So I got a chance to reinvent myself, but still looking at, the rest of my years to come. Now I'm faced with, as I've been climbing Mount Kilimanjaro with myself and then as a humanitarian helping some people along the way, they're in a better place than when I first found them, right? But the thing is that it's so hard because I got to I'm so tired. Like, I got to keep climbing. And I got, a second chance. And it's so hard. It's easier when you're like in your 30s or 40s. But I've had a lot of health issues I've overcome with my faith. It's just been so hard.
Yeah. Thank you for the courage to share, my friend. It is hard, but it's possible. You might not need how, you just need possible. And I guarantee you, it is possible. And I want to encourage you, my friend. I'm 58, so I've got you by a little bit. I love riding mountain bike on a passion. The other year, I was up in Santa Cruz and was invited to ride with a group of people. I was the youngest there. The next youngest was 71, and then there was a 78 and an 81-year-old riding a mountain bike for about 25 to 30 plus miles through the woods. And you would have thought they were like 30 years old. So my friend, be encouraged. Life is not done with you, and you have plenty left in you to accomplish those dreams and write your next chapter. I am so honored to spend some time with you, Rhashida, tonight on Circles, and our friends here joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff, for hosting me. Thank you all for allowing me to hold space for you. I look forward to seeing you all join the masterclass it starts next week. Next week, Wednesday at the same time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much, beautiful people. As I always say, fight for your joy like your life depends on it, because it really does. Do something this week to pour into your cup. Be around people that will help you fill your cup, and I look forward to seeing your beautiful faces soon. Take care. Have a good evening, Jeff. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhashida and Jeff.